Velkommen til Lajski Panelet, where we today are recording the first ever English episode on the podcast. And for that, I'm pleased to welcome Kevin Chan, also known as SquirtleKev, and Fredrik Røj Christensen, also known as SlabStash, on the panel. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And Kevin,
the English is just because I don't understand the Danish.
Yeah, it is. But maybe we'll do some like episodes in English from now on. Who knows? Yeah. Maybe Mahal has said yes to come on and show his Illustrator Pikachu. We don't know yet. But Kevin, you just got back from the Swindon card show in the UK. How was that? And did you make some good deals over there?
It was good. So I think that Swindon is one of the shows in UK where they gather all the top vendors. And people know it, so people come and buy and sell a lot. I think that this show in particular was very heavy focused on One Piece. So a lot of the higher end people now in UK target One Piece, and I think it's just because like football players collect One Piece, like Dominic Solanke, and some other guys. So basically, it's where the market moves. People follow where the money goes.
That's a super quick transition because I remember maybe not 3 months ago, but probably like around 4 months ago, like One Piece wasn't really like as hot commodity as it is now. And then to hear that it's just basically taken over the card show and that is the entire focus is pretty wild how quick the hobby can transition.
Yeah, especially in Denmark. I think I've been looking for One Piece. I think the last 3-4 card shows in Denmark, and there's like absolutely none. I think Matraus is like the only one who carries like a little bit of raw cards, but that's it. So,
so me and Fredrik went to Dubai together in November, and then he did like he was the one that started doing more One Piece than me, and I remember calling him that he was crazy because he took in like 120k of One Piece slabs, and I'm like, are you mad? Like now you don't even have any Pokemon inventory.
We're gonna hear a lot about that because like I'm actually so this episode is entirely about like high-end flipping, right? And that's why obviously I've invited you two gentlemen on the show, and we're gonna hear a lot about like your considerations when you're taking in cards and like how you negotiate and everything. And this is a good case because like Fredrik has obviously seen something that could potentially be a quick little flip. But like speaking of insane things as well, like Kevin, you told me probably like a week ago that you have sold about 30 PSA 10 Poncho Pikachus this month alone.
Yeah, so I've sold 30 copies is just to Singapore, like only to Singapore, and I'm sold maybe 36 copies now after Swindon, of
like
Ponchos.
In January alone.
Just in January.
How many Ponchos do you have, mate?
Now none, zero.
Okay,
zero.
Good.
But I don't know. I found a way to source them, and then Singapore market they have very hard time sourcing ponchos. Because the easiest way for them to source ponchos is from Japan, but Japan is super expensive when it comes to ponchos. So we just have them really, really, really high-end collectors buying ponchos. One of the guys bought a full set from me, and he said that it was for his 5-year-old.
No way.
Yeah. He said that he already
when I was
got
5 years old,
set.
I got like a pack, maybe 2 of fossil or jungle booster packs. Not an entire
when you were 5 years old, you got booster packs?
Yeah, I did.
You got booster packs?
If I played a nice football match, I got like 2 booster packs if I scored a goal. But like, then yesterday I was in Card Collective in Copenhagen, central Copenhagen, and like some kids just went in and they just bought like 2 booster boxes, just casual, no joke. I'm like, something has changed here. That's not.
There's some really wealthy people out there, at least.
Being 5-year-old in Singapore, you apparently get a full Poncho set and PSA 10 as toys you can bring to kindergarten. That's nice to hear. Comforting. Kevin, do you know, like, because we have been talking a lot about on this show, like, of course, the Chinese market is like a sleeping giant, or maybe it's not even sleeping anymore. Like, do you know if it's Chinese buyers buying all of these ponchos you're selling to Singapore?
Well. So these are Singapore natives, but they are Asians. So,
Yeah. But
uh, a lot of the Singaporeans, they are Chinese as well, like Chinese immigrated to Singapore. Uh, but Singapore is, I think a lot of wealthy collectors live in Singapore because like the tax is 0%, and it's not like that in China. So that's why you
mhm.
can also see that Chinese rich men, they have their banks and their collectors collections in Hong Kong. So Hong Kong has a different tax rate, uh, and that's why also the casino and stuff in Hong Kong.
I guess that's also
Um,
why, like, because can't remember who told me this on their Patreon, but like someone who also sells a lot of ponchos on eBay, like saying like every second of them is basically being shipped to like Chinese buyers. So
yeah,
like they just end up in China, and like also just stating that Chinese buyers want like highly exclusive stuff. But I guess that's why also like Hong Kong and Macau and Singapore has become like the melting pot for international people to meet, like in the special markets down there. Maybe have you been vending in any of those shows, especially the Macau one?
I haven't, but I have some plans on doing it in autumn. But it's like you said, I think it's both a good thing and a bad thing. So if US buyers buy ponchos, the ponchos will hit the market again, so they will resell them to make a profit.
Mm-hmm.
But when Asian people buy ponchos, they collect them, so they keep them in their collections, and the ponchos probably won't see market again for 5-10 years. And I think that's a bit of a problem as well, because we only have like 2,000 copies of each PSA 10 poncho, and if it end up in like half of it end up in like Singapore or other or Dubai or other
Mm-hmm.
countries where they don't resell them, then the supply will be very low and demand will be very high. So I think that actually ponchos will hit even higher uh, sales in the end of this year.
I think so too. Like it's has basically become, like in my opinion, it has basically become a token of some sort, like a crypto token in many ways. But it's fun how the narrative has changed. I feel like because 2-3 years ago we were like, okay, 1,500 PSA 10 punches, that's insane, man. Like this price cannot hold. Then China comes in to the factor, and now it's like 2,000 is not that many. Like it's really not that many if people are just keeping them like in their
Yeah.
collections, right? Fredrik, you used to be a professional Counter-Strike player, no?
Yep.
And then you've transitioned slowly into TCG cards.
I mean, I think, yeah, I've been playing Counter-Strike I think, professionally for 8 years. I stopped like 1 year ago. And now I work full-time at an agency where I work with players on the other side of the table. In some sense, I negotiate the contracts and manage them and stuff like that. So now I have more time on my hobby, which is TCG, Pokemon, and now more One Piece as well. I have been collecting for, I think, 4 or 5 years
Mm-hmm.
of Pokemon mainly. And yeah, then I have a really good friend of mine that I started to get into the hobby with, and we went to a couple of shows as buyers, and then we were like, it could be a lot of fun to vend a little bit and collect in that way. So now I have way more time, and my job is like super flexible, so it allows me to spend some time on this and go to the shows without while still working. Like some I think in Dubai I was actually I was working as well, like during the show, because my job is like it's very flexible, but I have to be available. If something happens, if
Yeah.
an opportunity for one of my players comes up, or I need to negotiate a contract. So I actually had a contract that was like really, really urgent at the Dubai show, and it was a little bit of there was some trouble because in Dubai you can't use Discord and like any of those like call things and WhatsApp and stuff like that. So I couldn't really jump on a call. So it was a little bit, but yeah, it comes with it, and I just enjoy it and spend some time. I don't really, obviously I try to make some money here and there and flip stuff, but it's mainly for my own collection. Like everything I gain, everything I get, I just put it into the hobby
Right.
again,
Okay.
pretty much.
Because that was
Yeah.
actually my next question. Like, do you guys actually collect, or is it all just business now?
I mean, I can start. I mean, I have been collecting for a long time, but it's changing a little bit because I mean, the more expensive the stuff gets, it's a little bit. For me, I like to collect things I can actually keep in my house, and I don't want to keep anything expensive. So, like mainly, I collect just binder stuff, more low end, like not the like the biggest hitters. And then, like I think the last couple of months, I went into One Piece, and then I had a really, I really enjoy black labels and the grails, which is one of the things that also like really intrigues me in One Piece. Is like black labels is more frequent, with at least with the English one, because of the card quality. But then I got the chance to get a serialized Luffy in a BGS 10, and then now my ultimate goal is to get one of each English serialized cards in a BGS 10. But I think now the price has gotten a little bit too insane to actually justify that.
Oh,
but
really?
I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, I've been trying to get the Zoro for a while, but
that One Piece has sort of revived the black label. Not that the black label was dead, but like basically every One Piece card creates a PSA 10, obviously, right? So like if you want the pristine of the pristines, like black label is just the way to go, and the pop on like One Piece black labels is also way more frequent than let's say Poncho Pikachu's.
I think like so we have seen in the high end market of One Piece and Pokemon that in Pokemon you almost never grade with Beckett if it's a high end card, because it's very unlikely to get BGS 10 or up. Whereas in One Piece, it's very likely to get a BGS 10. It's almost like 50-50 of getting a 9.5 and a 10, and then 1% you get a black label, which is a very high gem rate considering like how hard it is to get. So I think that actually submissions wise, that in high end One Piece, there is actually like pretty even between PSA and Beckett submitted. Of course, the lower end stuff people only send to PSA, but the higher end stuff, just because also Beckett doesn't have upcharge. So, like for example, if you would grade a serialized Luffy BGS, I think that the PSA 10 now is doing 50k USD, and BGS 10 is probably doing 60, 65, 70k, depending on the serial. If it's very low, I have seen even 100k for a double-digit serial. And if you grade something that high, like a 50k card or 60k card, the upcharge becomes like 5k. So basically, the grading fee with the upcharge would be like 10% of the card's value. Whereas if you send it to Beckett, then you don't get that upcharge.
Yeah, and you
it's a
can
little
say
bit
like
tricky, right?
even if you got a like if you're unlucky and got a 9, you would still have to pay a super like high upcharge, and you would crack it and resub it anyway, and then get the extra upcharge. So yeah, maybe like One Piece is actually like boosting Beckett in some way.
I think
so. Like BGS 10 sells for the same, around the same as PSA 10s, and
I think it has like a little bit of a premium, but it's a little bit harder to move. I think PSA is just more liquid. So I mean, with any card, I think if you find the right collectors, because Beckett's is just way lower pop, so it's a little bit harder to find the cards. So if you find the right buyer, then obviously you can get a premium. But I think it's starting to get more close to each other, because the Beckett ones is maybe because most people, they don't really like, most people collect PSA cards and they want the same slab for all of their collection, right? So in that sense, it's a bit, and you don't want to pay more for the card in a BGS either, so it's a little bit close to each other. But I think the card quality is just so much better in One Piece. So I think if you can avoid the upcharges, is so huge. Like
I think actually in the high end market now that people don't like, I think like there is not a preferred option of PSA and BGS. I think they are equally popular in the high end market now.
I've noticed
like
the same.
What I've seen in, like, for example, in Swindon, this show, I had like maybe half of them was BGS and half of them was PSA, and people don't really mind paying a premium on the BGS slab, but because they also think that the BGS slab is more premium, and for people that have money, they only want something that looks more premium. I think a lot of the collectors feel like PSA is a joke when it comes to high end. That well, in One Piece market, obviously in Pokemon, PSA is still the very, very favored grading company, but in One Piece, I don't actually feel like people would like not buying a BGS slab just because it's 1.2x the PSA 10 price.
Yeah, if it's super high end, then I definitely agree. I also think because the gem rate is so high, so it makes the PSA cards a little bit more, I mean, not so special. I also think it looks a little bit more budget-wise. I think for most high-end collectors, they want the biggest slab.
But it's just interesting because, like, remember when like Collectors Universe bought Beckett, the whole debate was like, oh no, is Beckett gonna go SGC on it, and are they just gonna like drain Beckett for all the employees to like feed them into PSA? And I've noticed that some even like Pokemon Vintage BGS 9s are like reaching the price of a PSA 9 as well. Gold Star Ray was a good example recently, and I don't know if that card was actually paid for. I did not look into that, but it was just interesting to see that that it hasn't died yet, basically. Guys, we're going to talk a lot about high-end flipping, right?
Yeah.
And first of all, I'd like to know, do any of you live from it full-time?
I do, since August.
Yeah, and I work full-time at an agency, so I just basically do it as a hobby. I try to go to as many shows as I can because I think it's a lot of fun. So I had a lot of extra time the last 3 months. So that's why I went with Kevin to Dubai. We went to England as well to try and get some experiences and go somewhere else in Denmark. And I mean, I think it was a lot of fun and I learned a lot. So for me, I'll probably stay more in Europe, but try and do almost any show in Europe that I can get my hands on. I'm also going to Dublin soon, and we have the Nordic Card Show coming up. So yeah, that's kind of where I am. Because I also enjoyed with some of my friends, and they have their own stuff and I have my stuff, and then we kind of like vent together and we help each other out. So I mean, that's just so much more fun when you share the experience like that. Like I've even gone to shows in Denmark. I think Bro Card Show, where I was like, this show is like super small. It probably won't sell anything, but I was like, if I don't even care if I lose money. I'm just gonna go for fun with my buddy, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. Spend the day, price some cards, talk about cards, and then speaking to collectors at the shows is just so much fun. Just being in the hobby like that is it's kind of different experience compared to being a buyer at a show. When you stand at the vending table, you get so much more conversations with a lot of different people and collectors, and it's just I enjoy it so much. So I just go for fun, and if I can make a little bit of money, perfect.
But so like, do I hear like you might consider going full time at some point?
I mean, I had a talk with Kevin a little bit about it, but even like maybe starting to work together a little bit. But I think for me, I like being in a place where even if the tank dropped to zero, if whatever happened, then I could just, I could move on with my life and do something else. And it wouldn't really impact me in my like day-to-day life. I think I want to keep it like that. And just, because I also think if I go full time, it's going to ruin some sort of the experience. And I think it might tear you a little bit, but I also think, it gives something else, right? So for me, I'm at a point in my life where with my job and with my family where I think it's perfect like this. But I mean, you never know. I mean, if we get a lot more shows in Europe and in Denmark, then, maybe.
Kevin, does it ruin the collecting part, like going full time in having to live off of it and make an income from vending?
No, I love it. So I don't feel well. So I'm not a very like materialistic guy. So like I live very very budgetly on my personal life. So I buy food like a normal stuff guy. I don't own an expensive car, or I don't have a driver license, but I don't have an expensive watch or any expensive clothes, or I don't use any of that money on that type of stuff. So I reinvest most of my stuff back into the business, and then I prioritize being able to travel a lot. So I feel like I can very very agree with Fredrik's point of view when it comes to enjoying moments, because I love to travel. And last weekend before Swindon, we went to Edinburgh. I discovered that you have to say Edinburgh and not Edinburgh.
Important.
I don't know why. But so it was just a 1-day show, and then my girlfriend is a huge Harry Potter fan, so we went there to also see all the sightseeing stuff. That was super fun. But
That's
like
nice.
these smaller shows also is very very rewarding. So when you are one of the bigger vendor on a small show, people come to you and sell their stuff more, so you can buy heavily, but you probably won't move any of the higher end stuff. And then, but I think like if you go to US, then it's no point of having a table, because you will just be one like of thousands of vendors that has the same collection. Their collections are crazy, so it would be way better to just freely go around tables, trying to make deals, trying to connect with people, and just enjoying the show more. Because there is times where I felt like you're very stuck to the table and you can't move away. So I like to travel with someone else, like not particularly with my business, but like, so for example, me and Fredrik, when we were in Dubai, then one can take a like stand in the table at the table and have a look for everything, and the other one can go around. In that case, you feel more safe with not missing out deals as well on the floor, seeing other vendors what they have brought.
Yeah, we don't bring it that much either when we go, so we try to bring like an amount where we can, one guy can look after both. Like I think in Dubai we had like one display case each, and I think
and they were really small.
Yeah, exactly. And I think in England it was kind of the same, right? Like we had I think we had like 3 cases in total, and we shared one case with high-end stuff, and so we can kind of like watch over, and then we get an idea of what kind of pricing do you have. Like you kind of get to know a person of like how is he willing to move and the stuff. Like I've done a lot of deals with Kevin as well, so we kind of like know each other and where we how we feel about certain cards. So we can also deal with each other's cards, but we can deal in a long enough way to not like just tell the customer like I'll come back later. We'll take over and say like what are you interested in, and I can kind of like vend with Kevin's cards until like the final end, and then he can kind of come and see if it's something he wants or not. And that way you don't really lose all of the opportunities if you go and walk the floor, for example.
That's a nice way of trust, like as well, and like also a nice way of traveling as a team. But I guess the strategy you would approach a certain show with would also change, like in comparison to like what are everyone else dealing, and also secondly like how much is a table, because like you can say the new XL coming up in London, like a table in Danish kroner for a week, like one table is like 5,000, right? Where like if you compare that to Nordic Card Show as a private vendor, 3 days is probably like 500-600 kroner, and in dollars that would be like $100 for a like week and 3 days. And in London, how much is that in dollars? Like $800 or something?
I don't remember what I paid in the invoice now. But
you're going to the London XXL one.
Yeah, I'm going to the XL one.
Isn't that all 3 like days. The same days as the upcoming Nordic Card Show?
Is it? Which one?
I think it is.
Oh no!
It's on Valentine's Day.
No. You were talking about the London Card Show that is in Sandown, not the XL. XL is in April.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I'm in Austria at that point.
Yeah. This one, yes, this one is the same as Copenhagen Nordic Card Show. But I'm going to Nordic Card Show.
Nice. I'll see you there then. So I have a ton of questions, because it's no secret that like I have of course also played with the thought of like going full time as a high-end vendor, because I think it sounds interesting, and like you get to travel a lot, you get to like experience nice places and like basically live off of your hobby and your knowledge in the hobby. So first of all, I'd like to like know a little bit about the market mechanics. I think we're going to do a 101 high-end vending masterclass here, and I'm not sure you can answer all of the questions, but I got into like a top 3 rule with new sets. So like usually the top 3 hits of a modern set are like pretty liquid. Do you, when you're vending that stuff like hot potatoes basically, do you see any traps in that, or how do you deal with a new set that has just come out?
You want to start, Fredrik?
Yeah, I mean,
which is not necessarily high end, but like let's just start there. We'll build it up.
I think it's I think it's very different compared to like where you are, where you went, and kind of like what your plan is, right? Because I think for me, my situation is way different compared to Kevin, because I'm like destined to hold certain cards way longer because I don't spend as much time, and I don't want to spend too much time outside of the shows. So I don't really want to spend a ton of time moving a lot of stuff while I wait for the next show. I kind of just hold them. So I think my priorities is a little bit different compared to, for example, Kevin, where he would like to just flip them instantly, and he has a bunch of time to do this, and has a way better clientele to just flip the cards as well. So I think, like the ultra modern, I tend to stay away because sometimes I won't move it at a show and I have to keep them, and then they will drop. So if I at least take them in, I'm planning to move them at the show, like instantly. I'm not gonna stay with them for the next show. But I think Denmark in particular is a little bit unique compared to, I think, other shows or like other countries. Maybe Europe in general is like, I think modern PSA 10s is like, there's so many of them, but apparently not in Denmark and not in Europe at all. So like for me, I try to get those stuff, like get the stuff that no one else has, because there's a lot of competition, there's a lot of shops, there's a lot of full-time guys like Kevin and those guys. And for me, I try to get stuff that no one really else has, so I don't really have to compete with them. And that's mainly just modern PSA 10s in Denmark, and it's like highly liquid. And you can most of the time charge above market on those kind of things, because yes, they know that the market price in the US is different, but if they want it now, no one else at the show has it. So, I mean, if they want it, and most of these guys have been looking for these cards for a long time, being in the hobby, and then when they get to a show and they're like, okay, it's finally here, but it's overpriced, and then I'm like, but you can't really get it unless you buy it off eBay, right, in the US, and then there's some, I mean, you can do it, but there's some risk involved in terms of shipping and those kind of things, right? So I think for me, in terms of the modern, it's always good to have, but it's a little bit dangerous to keep and hold long term. I think it's something that usually you will move rather quickly. At least for my part.
I think on my part, I try to stay away from modern stuff. Like
Really?
so yes. So modern right now is very volatile. So it doesn't matter on if it's the top 3 like new sets and the top chases. Um, I learned this actually right before New Year that um, well, my margins aren't that good in modern tens.
It's
And
hard to
like
get it cheap as well.
in general, my margins isn't that good, but like it's different because there is some modern tens that use staples for grails like Moonbreon, YouTube, Gengar VMAX, stuff like that. That I think in Fredrik's position, he don't mind pricing them a little bit above market, and if it doesn't sell, he just keep it for next show, and they usually won't drop that much. But I usually try to be below market on my stuff, and that doesn't work for modern. So like if I buy something and it moves like, and it like the market moves in 1 week or 2 weeks, then I'm getting stuck with that for another 2 weeks because I'm waiting for the new sales before I can sell them. And they are very volatile. So we can see, for example, 151 SARD is doing like 900 up to 1,100 and back down to 800 and up to 1,200 and all like that all the time. Obviously, it's a very high demanding card. That's why it also has a lot of sales. But it's like playing high risk crypto, and I don't really like that stuff. So actually, I changed my changed the direction on my business a little bit, doing mostly vintage stuff, and obviously ponchos as well when it comes to Pokemon. So I think I'll targeting like 2019 and older stuff, and not the stuff more modern stuff right now, except for maybe Moonbreon or well, stuff like that. But I only get them if I also have like a good price on them. Otherwise, I also skip them. But it's also like it's like Fredrik say, like in Denmark maybe not that many people have those stuff, so having them would give you a very good would attract very like a lot of clients to come and trade for them. Whereas I sell mostly internationally to Dubai, to US, to UK, to Singapore, where the market is like super high. Like there is so many copies of them, so people don't need to pay overpriced for them. because the
You
supply
won't
is
move
so
them
high.
for overpriced as well, yeah.
Yeah, it's
'Cause
always about
'cause yeah.
demand and supply.
Because when you
So
deal with
would your
international
strategy
guys and
also
you're shipping,
would your strategy also be to like then just like bring a lot of those from there to the shows over here because you have the knowledge of what moves where?
that's what I do at least.
Yes, but
When
I
I'm
don't do
working.
so many shows in Europe. Like I don't do, like for example, Nordic card show is like Copenhagen, Roskilde. That's the only two I do, and then in Sweden there is only like 2 shows as well. So that's 4 shows, whereas I do 12 in UK, and then when I'm not doing shows, I'm selling overseas, like just online,
Mm-hmm.
to US and Singapore. So there isn't any benefit for me to buy modern stuff and hold them because they won't go up in price. Whereas vintage is, if you buy them, you know they are always going to go up in price in the long run. So I feel like I'm trying to target that audience more.
So let's say
It's also
if
so
you're going to
different.
like a card show in Europe, like, and you had like $10,000, what would you put it into, like in terms of like diversification on your table? Like, would you put it all like into vintage or like gold stars, or would you put it? What percentage would you put into modern, new era stuff, and etc.? Do you have any rules for yourself to that, like in terms of having a broad representation of cards on your table? Like for myself, I just
Well,
like to add this on top. Like sometimes I feel like when you've worked out a deal and like you need the last couple of $100, you just sprinkle some modern on top, and then it's sealed off, right?
well, well, for first $10,000 isn't really much to go on. Like that's like one
Let's
poncho.
bump it to 100.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to focus right now on my business is that the lower end stuff, I'm trying to focus on one piece. If I have any lower end stuff or mid end stuff, that's one piece stuff. And when it comes to higher end stuff, it's both One Piece and Pokemon. So the reason why is because there is so many people that's selling singles to you in One Piece, and they're all very, very good copies, like
Mm-hmm.
92% gem rate. So you can grade them, and then when you get them back, you just sell them.
Yeah.
In that way, you can also have a very good margin on them because the PSA 10 price compared to the raw price is 2x, 3x, 4x the price. So whereas Pokemon, you don't really find so many good modern copies anymore where you can grade them, and then when you get them back, you flip them because there is a very good chance it gets a 9, and then you're fucked. So if I had like 100K
Mystery
with me,
pack.
yeah, so like if
Oh,
I have
sorry.
100K with me to a card show, then I would probably put 80K of that into high end and 20K into mid end, low end, but nothing of that would be Pokemon.
I guess it
It's
also
so
gives
funny
you the
'cause it's like
advantage of a pace. Like you don't like if you have like fewer cards, but like with higher value, one like you can take your time to like do a nice deal rather than having to turn over so many cards to basically in the end make the same profit. What were you gonna say?
Yeah.
Sorry for like.
I think it's like very different compared to like what Kevin, for example, would look for. Because mainly what I do is I prepare for like an upcoming show. So for example, now on the card show, I think I've been preparing my inventory now for the last like 2-3 months, where I want to like I have an idea of what I want to bring and what I want to get. And I know what kind of thing, like I have a very good experience now with the Danish market, at least with what moves and what doesn't move. And I think like what Kevin would buy, for example, for him, if he had 100K, it's like completely different because he's like moving this kind of stuff internationally. So he's competing with, with the guys from the US. He's competing with the other vendors who also deals a lot of deals on Instagram and those kind of things. So he doesn't really, but I'm like mainly competing with the guys in Denmark. And the guys in Denmark, they don't have any modern 10s. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like, I can kind of just set my price and I have a really good idea of what is able to move it at. I have a lot of guys who come and they like, can you do this at like I have at least some shows in Denmark, they come and they like I have it, it's only like specific cards, mostly the modern, like 151 is a very good example, PSA 10s, SIRs. It's like I think like the most liquid thing ever, and you can usually like get 20% above market on those kind of things. And I have people coming and they're like, I'm not an idiot. I know the market, right? I can see the comps and they can as well. And they come and, can you get closer to comps? I'm like, if you come at the end of the show and it's not here, then you can get it for the market price, 100%. For sure you can come. And then they always, I have like 2-3 guys last show, they were like, then I'll just take it, because they also know that it's probably going to get moved as well, because I'm the only one at the show who has it. Like no one else has them, so it's kind of like where they can get it. So for me, it's a little bit different. Obviously, there's a bit more like volatility and it's a bit risky. I had at least the dip that came 2 months ago before Christmas. I mean, I tanked a little bit there and I was forced to move a little bit of it on Facebook. And, I took a little bit of a loss on some things, but, it's all right,
again,
for me.
Then again, we've all won on other things. It's also like the market has gone up 300%. It's like, oh no, it's dipping like 20%. Oh no, what's going to happen to us all? Doomsday's coming. I mean, it's probably okay. We've done okay, but it's interesting, guys. What I hear you say that like the sort of like the currency or like the value of the information you've gathered over time by like attending card shows around the world is basically what you then use as a strategy for what you're gonna bring to the next card show in a different location. That's not necessarily something you can like just study on YouTube or anything else.
No.
That's highly valuable information you have there. When you then have like everything and we're at a card show, right? And you are doing the negotiation of a deal. Let's move into the negotiation. How do you have any rules for that? Like, how do you approach a negotiation when someone comes to your table saying, "I'm interested in this cheap 10K card, Kevin"?
So a lot of people usually comes at your table, and the first question they ask is, "What's your best price on this?" Like literally, that's the first question, and I always counter it with, "I don't negotiate with myself." So if it's my price, I won't negotiate it down for you. You have to make an effort to actually give me a price. And then it's actually very easy to tell, because like if it's someone that I don't know, it's very easy to tell if they are serious or if they're just there lowballing stuff. So if their first offer is too low, then I don't waste my time with them.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy. So
and what's too low? Like what's too low?
Like 20% below my sticker. That's like,
okay, interesting, right? Because like if
like
you're dealing in like Spain or Italy, like no offense, but then it's always like first offer is like 50% what you've priced it at, and like versus if you go to Norway or Finland, then it's like they don't negotiate. It's just like this is the price, okay, or they walk away. Often it's like, okay, I've seen you've put a price on it. That is apparently the price, not for me. So like you also have to price things differently. Sorry to interrupt, Kevin.
Yeah.
That's a super interesting point you had there.
Good. I actually can relate to that because I did a show in Norway, and and literally I priced my stuff and some of the stuff that I had better margins at, I put them a little bit lower, and literally you just walk up. So like a guy just randomly walks up, saw my Moonbryon, liked the price, he said, "I take it." Like no negotiation or
and
nothing.
super respectful in that way.
Yeah. Whereas they look at some prices and they don't agree and they just walk away. So like Norwegians, Norwegians are very like introvert, but they like to think like of their like in their own mind, so they don't like to discuss it with you. So it was like not much talking. I tried to joke with them and stuff, but they are like very awkward people. Swedish people is also a little bit awkward, but they are so I usually say like this. So Norwegians, they are most introvert and they want to discuss everything with themselves only. They don't want to negotiate. Swedish people, they are introverts, but they're careful and cheap. So Swedish people, you don't see them buying so much high-end stuff because, well, they are cheap. And then we have Danish people who are impulsive and have no consequence thinking. So they usually just go in. They just go in and they buy stuff and then they regret it afterwards and have to sell it with a loss. Like,
but they're all drunk, mate. They're all drunk. It's a part of the culture.
Exactly. This is literally what happens, and that's why but this is why also you can see that the Danish market is 10 times bigger than Swedish market. I'm not even kidding. And then Norwegian people, like, I think that Danish market is probably 50 times higher than Norwegian market because one, they cannot import stuff because they are outside of EU, so they have customs, and then they don't like to discuss and negotiate and stuff. So I've dealt with people who are vendors in Norway as well. They're the same. So they ask me about a price. I tell them this is my price. Then they say yes or no, literally. And then Swedish people, because they are not impulsive, the market won't grow in the same way. But Danish market is like, people are like, sorry, but like, you're kind of like aggressive, stupid. And,
Hey.
but that's in this market, it's a really good thing, because you can see it's the same thing in UK. Like, they are also aggressively stupid, but with a little bit more consequence thinking.
And with
And then
different things also.
What?
I remember, and with different things also. I remember I talked a lot to the Whatnot guys about like they just showed up to Nordicacho just to source stuff at Whatnot, and he like can't remember his name right now. Like the guy with the blonde hair, bleached hair, super kind. Anyway, him and his pal, they just like basically just took everything from my binder, because they're like, yeah, this moves for like 3 times the price in the UK. Like just like EX and reverse hollow stamped cards, it's just like super liquid, whereas in Denmark it's like meh. You find that in on every table basically. Yeah, interesting. Interesting.
I think it's
how do you deal with
well
like with negotiation then, like, and I'm gonna add a little factor to this then, because like, how do you deal with a negotiation of someone who wants to sell you a card, or like vend a card, or sell a card into you that has an emotional attachment to it, and then their price is sort of like higher than market because, oh, I got this card from my grandma like in 2017, blah 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 blah. How do you deal with stuff like that?
I mean, I like to be just like pretty much straightforward. I think for me, I mean, I don't really go to the shows with a plan of like, I need to make a bunch of money. I go there for a lot of enjoyment and enjoying with the people. So for me, like what matters the most is the kind of approach they come to me with. So if it's, genuine collectors or like very polite people who, doesn't just, I don't know, who's not, I think it's like a different kind of clientele sometimes, where like there will be people that, they really want to make money. They want to make a good buy. Like, I think it's starting to shift a bit more in that way, where everyone wants a great deal. Like, no one can't pay stuff at market because they want to make money, right? So for me, it's more like the kind of passion you come in with. So I tend to say that I have a lot of room, and I really like, I can even lose money on a card if I feel like it's going to the right person. So for me, if a guy comes or someone comes and they're like, they really, really, really want this card, they have a really like nice story with, okay, I've been searching for this card, I couldn't find it, man. Finally, I got it. I only have this to trade with. I don't have anything else. Like, I really, then I'm like, I'll work with you. I can trade 1-to-1. I don't care if it really makes that day. Then for me, it doesn't really matter if I make $100 on it or whatever. So,
next time I'm gonna send you a guy, and they were just going to make up the whole story. They're looking for your serialized Luffy BGS10, and like, I really, really need this card. Can you drop it off to me at 10K?
They're gonna come with a script. No, what I mean in terms of your question as well, if someone comes with something overpriced. But don't you think there's also like a
social faux pas connected to that, like because like you, we'll just wait for Kevin. He said he needed his charger. Well, but then you can answer this. Meanwhile, like, don't you think there's a social faux pas connected to, like, you've done a deal with someone, they're like, this card is truly meaningful to me, like, I need this in my collection, and then 2 days after you're seeing it for sale online for like 1K more than you sold it for, and you're like, you just
I've seen that.
Added yourself to my blackmail list.
I mean, I've seen that for sure, and I think, I mean, at least sometimes, like, I feel like I can feel it on a person, and actually sometimes they actually really want this card. But I think what happens in the market, that if you spend a lot of time in the hobby and you look on social media, you get exposed to a ton of different things, then you will buy something, and then you will easily 2 days later you'll be like, you see something else, but you only have this certain amount of budget, so like, you cannot get everything. So if you buy something you really wanted, and now you have it, which is great, it feels good, and then you see something else on social media, or you get exposed to something where like, oh, this is really cool, I would actually really want this, but I don't have any more money to pay with, so now I only have this card. So for me, I don't really care, and I think obviously sometimes there will be someone that will just lie and, to get a deal, and that's fine. But I think most of the guys, they actually generally are pretty trustworthy, and then they just, they're approach changes. I think, but and in terms of your other question with if a guy comes with a card that is super overpriced, I think I'm always just straightforward. Like I can just see the comps and I'll be like, if I need to make money on this is what I can pay, and I tend to be really fair, really transparent. I always show them the prices if they don't really know how to look at the prices and figure out what their stuff's worth. Then I'll pretty much just show them and explain to them why I think it's this much worth, and then I'll just be like at a percentage where I'm comfortable picking it up, knowing I can move it, or if I can make just a little bit of profit on it, right? And if they don't want to do that, that's totally fine. Then I'm just saying, then I it's not for me. You could probably find something else. I mean, I think all differents have like a different kind of like they have a different way of thinking of each individual card. Whereas for me, like in the beginning, for example, I was like, okay, gold stars, that's like that's what people want, and this is what people want. But it changes slowly, where you have some cards and you're like, oh, I just can't sell it, I can't move it. It's been sitting there for 2-3 months. I barely have any margin. I just have to let it go to invest in something else, and then you figure out like, okay, this is actually not that good. And then then next time you don't want to pay 85%, you maybe want to pay 80% because you feel like that's the only way I can make some money off of it, And I think that's so funny as well when you go to shows, because there's so many different vendors who has been doing it for X amount of time. So that's why like you can easily go and work something out with other vendors, because they will appreciate some cards that I don't appreciate, and I will do the opposite of them. And then we can work out a great deal where, they get something they want, and I get something I want that I think I can move,
Yeah.
That's like the, yeah.
But let's move into next chapter, so to speak. Like that would then be like the vendor-to-vendor dynamics and ethics, because I think we talked about something super interesting regarding like there is a social tax to doing deals with other vendors and actually also other collectors, whereas the one mentioned before, like we've all experienced that someone comes up and they really want this card, like it's just the centerpiece of their collection, and then like the day after you see it for sale for like 1K more online, right? And you're like, right, so like trust is also a super important factor, like for your reputation and like for in short, you can say you've done a good deal now, but you pissed your pants to stay warm, right? Like you can't do another good deal with this person in the future, right? So is there something to like when you do, as you mentioned before, Fredrik, and maybe Kevin can take over this question, is there something to like when you do vendor to vendor deals that you leave some meat on the bone to like, so you both walk away there with a good feeling and you would do deals in the future? Like how do you approach that strategy?
Yeah. So, can you hear me good now?
Yeah, all good, all
Does
good.
it work?
You're back.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. So, that also something I realized in the later period of my, well, in the later towards the end of the year, that actually the best buyers are vendors. So vendors always have liquidity. They always need more stock, and they also need to flip it so they can also buy bulk. So I think my biggest audience is vendors, except for like some ponchos and stuff that have sold to bigger collectors.
Interesting.
But like you are very, very much in need of having good relations with other vendors. So like number one is networking and building good relations and long-term relations. So I always know which guys that would buy certain type of stuff, so I can always sell to them when I feel like I can't sell them anymore myself. And also time is money, so having to sell one card at a time on a card show isn't so efficient if you can flip a small percentage. So if for example, people think, I think this is a very important lesson for vendors out there, that they think they need to make 30% or 20% margins on each card to be able to earn money, but that's not how it is. So you can snowball your percentages. So if you, let's say if I have 1K, I buy a card for 800, I sell it for 900. Oh, sorry, I buy it for 800, but I sell it, yeah, exactly, at 900. I make $100 profit. And then I take that 1.1K now to buy something else. and then the same thing goes again. I make 5%, 5%, 5%, but I do it a lot of times, then in the end, that margin is actually better than to hold a card for 1 week and sell it for 30% to find the right buyer. And like you said, those buyers typically only looking for a certain type of specific card, and once they have gotten that, they are not out in the market looking for another card again. So you want to find regular customers that comes back to you and buy stuff. I know, for example, Fredrik has some clientele that always goes to him because they trust him, they like him, and honestly, how can you not like him?
Honestly, how
but
can you not? Yes.
exactly, exactly. So like,
Cute.
well, I also do that. So when I know that Fredrik wants something, for example, last time in Skill, I knew that he wanted ponchos from me, so he could complete his full set, and then I just took a lot of modern stuff from him just for that show. But if that was towards the end of the show, I probably wouldn't have taken the modern stuff because then I have to sit on it until next show. And I would have wanted a bigger margin on that trade because
But there's
well,
also like a social tax to that, because like if you put a favor out there for someone, like it comes back to you. Like it just that's
yes,
just how the universe works, right? Like so it's also interesting. Like do you, without naming any names or anything, is there then on the opposite side like any red flags or anything that have put people on your blacklist?
a lot.
Um, like
A lot.
is it like is it what matters in that regard? Of like how do you end up on your blacklist?
Oh well,
I have some people on my blacklist too. I can
I
also
mean,
mention things
I definitely
that's
have some
afterwards.
on my blacklist, but I
Yeah,
think for
Fredrik, you go.
me,
Give us
like
pour a cup of tea for us. Give it.
yeah, I think that I think the most important for me is just being genuine and transparent and just honest. That's like I don't really appreciate guys if they tell me something and then they they do something else. That's then when people do that, then I don't care that people buy something of me and then they put a different sticker on it and then
No,
try and
no,
make
all
some
good.
money because that's fair, right? I don't really care if I know that if vendors want to buy something from me, they probably want to make some money because so they're not gonna buy it and then stick it at the same price, right? So sometimes I have like vendors, they will be like, oh yeah, I mean I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna do that, and then they feel like I'm gonna judge them because of what they're going to tell me and stuff like that, and then they just do something else. Then I don't really like that. And then also if it's people that is impossible to make deals with. So if they are always overpricing stuff, they don't really back things up. So I always like to, when you talk to other vendors is always the same thing with Kevin. Like it's always, a discussion where you kind of argue your case, right? And whoever argues your case the best is the one that, kind of, it's kind of hard to explain, but it's always like that in negotiations. You don't always just say like a number. You're always going to like back it up, right? So I want to pay this much because of this is the comps, blah, blah, blah. And then he can counter and you kind of go back and forth. So if you have like some guys who gets really, I don't know, offended or aggressive or like they get kind of, frustrated with the way of, because sometimes it's like you don't have to force a deal. You don't have to always make a deal, but you can always walk out the other side of it, still being friends, right? Like it's not the same thing with Kevin. We have done a bunch of different discussions with different casts where in the end I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to give you that for that, and then he's like, okay, fine. It's no hard feelings, right? But there's some guys, they are like, oh, this guy is just annoying. Like he doesn't want to sell me, like, all these kind of things. And, I think that's like the most important thing is just that you need to be able to be friends and talk in a good way, and then also not sometimes agree and still come out of the at the end of it and still being on good terms. And I think some vendors that I've been at least dealing with, it's like one deal that doesn't go through and like they don't really want to they're not going to do another deal with me again or something, and it's
Oh really? Okay, that's
yeah.
it's interesting to take it personal like that.
I think a lot of people do that. Yeah.
I feel like so we're all when we're talking about vendors now, not customers, we're all in it to actually make some money or margins. Or if you're a vendor that only looking for stuff for your PC, you're still trying to gain something out of a negotiation. And the first thing is, if you take it personal, then this business is not for you. Okay, so that's the number one thing. It's like it's like being a vendor that have a really hard time letting go of his stuff. Then he's too attached to the cards and can't sell them. Then he's not a good vendor. Like period. So don't have it out in your display. Like have other stuff in your display. The case then of course you can value some stuff higher, or you have you're in it for a higher price. Then of course you want to let go with a profit. But what I see a lot of times is I actually encourage people to negotiate against me, because if they don't, then they are not a very good salesperson, and this is all about sales. So I love and appreciate when people negotiate the hell out of me. So Fredrik is one example. So and we don't always agree with stuff, which is good. And if we don't come out with a deal, then that's also fine, because we like to negotiate. We take experience from each other. But then there's this thing as well. Like so, there is almost never like equal in when it comes to negotiation, right? So there is always someone that wants something more than the other, and you use that leverage to see if there is any profit gains. This is not like taking advantage of someone, but you also have to take in consideration for your case. So like if let's say Fredrik wants a Van Gogh from me, and I don't really see anything that I want from him, then it's up to us to discuss, okay, should he give me 15% trade margins so I can take something but make a little bit money of it, or do I want to keep the Van Gogh? So I have to make the decision if the Van Gogh is more valuable for me, or if I can take something from him with a 15% on top, then maybe we can negotiate a deal. And whereas like if I don't mind taking something that from him that is like equally the price, and I like it as well, then that's fine as well. It's also like if I have 3 Van Goghs, then no problem, I can let go of 1 to Fredrik. So it's all about like my situation. Everyone has different backgrounds. Everyone has different plan. Me and Fredrik are very different when it comes to vending. I'm doing it full time. He's not doing it full time. I value time a lot. I have to constantly selling through my inventories and buy new stuff, whereas he can prepare for 1 card show for 2 months and not selling any of that until like the show. Whereas I probably buy something 3 days before the show, and like I'm happy with my inventory now for this show. So like I think number one, very easy to tell if a vendor is capable of doing a negotiation is if they get offended, like Fredrik said. If they do get offended, then that's not a person that I would like to do more deals with, because then they take it personal and not business perspective. And I feel like actually the Danish market has a lot of vendors that are stubborn, arrogant. They have hard time let go of their stuff. And I'm just like I'm just like
no,
putting
it's
all
actually
of it
very
on.
true. People are very attached to the stuff in Denmark.
Yeah. So
and then it's often like, why are you vending at this table if you've brought stuff you don't really want to sell? Like, is it just to show off your collection? And
you know
that's a
when
valid
I walk
point,
the
Kevin.
floor, when I walk the floor in Danish card shows and I see stuff that I like from a vendor, and then I see their price and I ask them, can you negotiate the price? Can you be closer to market and stuff like that? And then the first thing I always hear is, I'm not really looking to let go of it. Oh, sorry, I think I have a package.
Oh yeah, sure.
I can continue.
So there's also there's the other side of this thing, which is I find it super interesting, like people's negotiation and probably like all other vendor negotiation tactics with me, which is what I was trying to like lead up to. Like I've often experienced that people are like coming over to my table and then they are sort of like trying to stress a deal through, where like I know and I have experienced with the same vendor that if I say yes to this deal, it means I've overlooked something, and they have like trying to like win something off of me, and that is actually a straight to my blacklist thing. There is people I'm not really like, whenever they approach my table, I'm like, yeah, no, sorry, don't really have the time right now, even though I'm like just on the phone or whatever. It's no, but you know what I mean. Like, it's like if you're if you manage to like get through to a deal with me, it means I've overlooked something, and there's no meat left on the bone, which I think is like actually a social tax that you're like, you need to make it good for both parts, right? And that's sort of what I was like aiming for. Like, what is your experience with that? Have you how do you approach other vendors like that, or like deal with it?
Well, go for it.
I think in Denmark we don't really have. I mean, it's different from place to place, right? But I think.
Oh, we have a couple here.
I mean, it kind of comes down to how you comp stuff and value stuff. So one thing that for example, when I was in England, I was trying to. I don't really walk the floor that much and try and do deal with vendors, but I know Kevin does it a lot, and I did a little bit in England because the car show was a little bit slow at some points. And then when I go to vendor, I'm like, we try and comp stuff, and if I'm like trying to value his item together with him, and I can just feel that there's no logic, there's no, when I come with an argument and say like, you can see the prices here, like this is, that's what it's going for, it's pretty straight, and he's like, yeah, I can't go below that, then
no, he would say no, it's UK market.
Yeah,
it's UK market.
Yeah, it's UK market or whatever, but it's like always, if there's something that doesn't make sense and there's no logic, then there's no point wasting your time.
Yeah.
And then because you will never get to a place where you will have some meat and he will have some meat, because there's also a lot of vendors, they always come with this one, they're like, I'm really high in on this, I bought this super high. And then you're like, if they say that, then you're already like, okay, we're probably not going to work out a deal, because then, if he's super high on the item, then, I think a lot of vendors, they have this philosophy, or like this kind of way of thinking, that they don't want to take a loss on anything at all, even though the market has changed. And I think that's like a really, really big mistake. And if there's vendors who think like that, and then they say they're very, very high on the card, then it's impossible to find a deal where you're both happy. And I think,
that's the same thing as like, sorry to cut you off. That's the same thing as like, if you are really, really high on something and you're not looking to sell it right now just because the market is low, then don't have it up in your display.
Yeah.
Like literally, if your intention going to a show and then you have some stuff that's like you bought on a high market and now it dipped, then don't sell it unless you're ready to take a loss of it. Because there's so many cards that I have taken loss of, like literally. I like after Dubai, I had 5 Moonbryons that dipped like $700 each after that show. I was lucky that I was going to UK because UK market was high still, so it was still fine.
So you could use the argument against them again.
No.
UK prices.
I literally just priced it off the US sales, and then they bought it because they checked the UK. They checked the UK comps, and they thought I was cheap, which I was, but not for the US market. But like, if I wasn't ready to take a loss on the Moonbryons, then I keep it, and maybe I just have one out so that I'm ready to lose, and the other 4 I will bring with me to the next show. I think that's also like a very necessary approach to the matter, as if people aren't really letting go of their stuff, then it's really hard to make deals with them.
Okay, so if we're summing up, and we've drank this cup of tea now, like if we're summing up the don't be that guy advice in short, what would that then be, Fredrik?
I think pricing everything, like it's fine pricing some stuff above market if you have experience. Like for example, I understand that if I go to a Danish vendor and he has a Charizard 151 in PSA 10, I understand why he wouldn't let that go at the market price, because I know that it sells for more. He knows it as well, so that's fair, right? But if you have a PSA 7 brick that is not going to sell, and he has it priced above market, then if you price everything above market, no matter what card it is, and you're like, oh, and you think this, I think some vendors have this mindset that, oh, Pokemon is so liquid, like you can just, there's so much money, you can just, like, everyone wants this, everyone wants all my stuff, all my cards is something people want. It doesn't work like that. It's super hard to move some of these like very niche cards, because you need to find the right collector, and there's like a bunch of different cards. So if you're a vendor who has like everything priced above market, then I think that's like a really big red flag in general, because then
I think that a lot of vendors came in, including myself, that just came on a silver platter when the market was literally doubling itself every week basically, and it was so easy to be a vendor because you can literally buy anything at almost 100%, and the next week the card is 120%. For example, Bubble Mew. Uh, and like and then now when the market corrected itself, you can really see which vendors are actually successful because they can adapt to the market. They know what to buy, they not know what to not buy. And then the vendors who are lazy, they literally just still trying to like flow on this wave of going like really up, and they are probably the ones that went to full on One Piece right now as well, and trying to now adapt to that wave. But I think a really, really important tell if the person is someone you can deal with is valuing time. Okay, so if you go to their booth and they don't value your time, they don't greet you, they don't like discuss with you, they like they're on their phone, stuff like that, then I don't feel like they take me serious and I'm a serious buyer. Then I go to the next table. Like I don't care how good their price is. Like literally, I don't care if I can make a huge amount of money on one thing. If they don't value my time, then I won't value their time. And this is back to relations. So I think that I like to deal deals with genuine people. I like both of us to get a win. Everyone has different margins and different stuff. If we can both share the 10% and we each gain 5% each, super good. I like those deals. I don't need to make like super good profit on one card. Um, I like to stay kind to people and like humble, and I feel like this is what I deserve to get back as well from other vendors. Um, and that's why also like I keep the inner circle very small, so I know a certain specific guys, like compared to there's like thousands and thousands of vendors, and I probably just have like 20 guys that I usually do deals with, that I know uh, will respect my time. And I feel like right now in the high-end market, the respect is way, way better. Like people who have money and people who have inventory, they treat each other with way more respect. Whereas people who faking that they have money, like they have maybe some good stuff, but not like they're in it for all of it. So they tend to be the ones that are the most arrogant. So um and like I don't know, it's I feel like there is like these smaller vendors that wants to become bigger, just they really need to work on themselves. It's not even about their inventory right now. It's about
It's the
them.
personality in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
interesting.
some are
So-
not born as salesmen either, and they can learn. Like you can definitely change your approach and learn how to become a better salesperson. But some people just don't take their time to do it.
But it's also interesting because like, and that would probably be another thing to add to this. I think we should like then turn it around now, because on the other side, who's a role model to you guys in terms of vending? Because you, as you mentioned, Kevin, like the personality is just sort of, it's a part of the brand. It's a part of what you buy into as a customer or as a vendor. Those social connections are just there, and the trust and everything. Like, so like, do you guys have any role models?
Fredrik.
Circle jerk.
No, like I'm not. He's not a role model, but I actually look up to Fredrik a lot because I'm more extrovert than Fredrik. But he's like this very calm. He calm and genuine guy that does deals very fairly. I think like he does like first deal we did together was, I think it was the Ponchos, right, Fredrik?
Yeah, it was
like the
actually a really big deal.
Gyarados and Magikarp ended up being like very fair, and like I think the deal became very fair. Like he was accepting like the new, we comped everything with like not based off sticker but like based off comps, like last sales. and it became very fair. And it ended up being like a very good friendship now afterwards. I invited him to Dubai. I invited him to UK. I trust him. I trust him with everything. Um, so that's definitely one person that I would definitely I get inspiration
I'll add a layer
from
to
him.
this then.
Appreciate it.
Because like a lot of vendors now have the POV on YouTube as well. So like if you have to pick one from YouTube that has a nice approach and are dealing with this this as a way of living super nice that you look up to.
Flipping cardboard.
Flipping cardboard.
Yeah. Yes. So I've also done millions of deals with him. Well, not millions, but like hundreds of thousands. And he's always super fair with pricing, and he's also this very calm and laid back guy. He comps stuff very fairly, and I feel like if people are not trying to screw you over on comps, like for example, let's say like comping is actually a very unique tool. It's very hard to master, like literally, especially in One Piece, Fredrik. You know, like you know that like Merch, he had such an advantage because he could comp the cards correctly and buy stuff that was like looking publicly very high, very low, but like he bought it in like indifferently. So that's definitely a skill that you need to be able to use. And flipping cardboard is like so good in comping stuff, but he also very fair, and as long as he makes his percentages, he's happy. And I like those type of vendors. So like as long as you make your margin and you're very fair, like if let's say Lajski, you go to a guy and you have a gold star ray, a 9, there is not really much comps on it, and then like it's not even about the percentage, because people can screw you over on, like, let's say they say, oh no, I pay you 100% on market, but then they comp your stuff very low, then it's not 100% on market anyways. So it's better that you need to come to a mutual ground where like the market is put at, and then they say, okay, I pay you 90% of it, so I just make 10%, and it's very fair, so you get as much as you can, and now I can use that 10% margin to make my money. So not like trying to down comp your stuff. Like there is a lot of people that try to down comp your stuff, value their stuff way higher, and you know they're trying to screw you.
You can say like a lot of the people that has a lot, like has gathered a big following on YouTube, like Bulbasaur is another good example. Like he's just super calm and has like a nice approach to it. Is probably also because they're dealing with vending in a super nice way that then has become entertainment for the other people. Like it's nice to look at.
I think for me, I think flipping cardboard as well. I did some, I got to meet him as well in Dubai. Super nice guy, like very fair. I did some deals with him as well. I think it was probably one of the most clean deals ever. Like it's just very straightforward. Nice. You know, like everything is just like comping. When you comp cards that is like has a lot of sales, it's very easy to see, you know, what is the actual comps. And he's always, you know, just straight up. That's not really. You know, it's just super fair and it's just super easy. And I think for me, another guy that I started watching as well is a guy called TCG Baka. He's mainly dealing in only One Piece. And I think he's like, I've been watching him a little bit, and I think he's probably the most, I don't know, he just seems like such a nice guy.
He's just
happy. And the way he does deals, like he just, like, there's so many times where someone comes and gives him a number on some cards or something. I'm like, I don't think I would take that. And he just happily just say yes. Like he doesn't want to negotiate too much. He just like really values, you know, his customers being super happy and having a great experience. If he makes 5%, 10%, he doesn't really care. Yeah. And even if he has vendors coming to him as well in his videos where they buy like a bunch of stuff in bulk, and he's just, you know, he has so many guys buying off him. I think he's moving so much stuff all the time because he's just, you know, anyone who comes to his table, he will work out a deal. Even with the guys that I wouldn't work out a deal with, he's like, he'll just happily take, you know, anything pretty much. I think that's like a really nice way to do it.
But as Kevin mentions, like it's also about like then you might not in the moment like gain a lot of profit for it, but you are just broadening your network. You're broadening your contacts, and in the end, it'll like that will be powerful if that person you're doing a deal with is basically a new collector, but like on the rise to become someone like that could be a competitor or like a friend or a like it'll benefit you, not necessarily in a profitable way only, but also like merging with a social way, like getting new friends. Like last podcast we did here was also about like a lot of us have actually made like lifelong relationship. We don't know yet, for fuck's sake, but like we like have made actual good friends in real life because of shiny cardboard, and that's
like one example of one of the guests you have had previously, Emma from Let's Grade Cards. So before I got to learn Emma, I didn't really have a good submission place where I can submit my cards for grading, and then I knew her, I knew her through I knew her through like but like I didn't know that you did that stuff, right? So I don't think I knew you back then.
No, probably not,
just through like Facebook Messenger, you just have like crazy inventory. I remember.
But also we've seen each other at card shows. Like we've been like last one in Sweden, we were like vending in front of each other. It was like, oh, nice. And we actually made like we helped each other working out deals with each other. I got that first edition Shining Charizard and something else from like someone who just needed some card where it was like a third part trade or something.
Yeah, I don't think we have made any direct deals.
You took a deal from me.
What?
You took a deal from me.
The Groudon?
The Groudon. I've still not gotten over that. That's my white whale. That's my Moby Dick.
Yeah. So
that's
like
okay.
That one was. Well, we can get back to that one.
No. It's all good. It's all good. And by the way, for the listeners, it was nothing shady about that. And like, I was just too slow. Like, let's be clear about that.
You were pretty mad at me about it but I didn't know that the guy who sold it. Like, okay, so the guy who sold that, he didn't price this off. Like his pricing was based off price charting, and I actually taught him how to price stuff after the deal, like using alt or card ladder, and he had it like pretty low, and I wasn't even like interested in the card, except like when I went to him on Sunday, and then I knew he wanted my ponchos and stuff, and then he just offered it to me in the deal. So, and then I got to know that you actually had a pre-arranged deal with him that was almost done.
It was
but
done.
He
I
didn't
was just
tell me about it.
Bring some cards from like bank inventory to like bring to him in the next day, and then
but like that's how you can tell. Like, so that vendor probably didn't value you and your stuff. Even you had a pre-arranged deal with him, he didn't value it. So like if he would have valued your time and your effort, he would put the Groudon aside. But this guy, he offered it to me. Like I didn't even say like I want the Groudon. He said, what if I throw you this card in the deal? And if someone does that and upsets you just to make a bigger deal with me, that's not typically the people I would make long-term relationships with.
But like from your side, you can't call everyone in the card show, hey, by the way, has anyone made a deal with this guy for this card before I do it?
Obviously,
of course not.
Without knowing, I feel like he should have told me that there was actually an ongoing deal on the Groudon, and then I will take that into consideration. But me, obviously, I can't know like his stuff if it's like pending or not. Like for me, it's just like, okay, let's make a deal. The stuff that you can't sell, don't sell it. We'll do another trade of something else. But back to Emma. So Emma is someone I value relation very like long run, because they have very good service. And she just literally told me, like my first submission was in August in Malmö, and that I'm her like third biggest spender now in the short run. And I feel like those connections are worth so much. Like I appreciate them as friends now as well. And I don't even remember what we spoke about, like valuing.
It was actually having made like long-term friends in the hobby.
So like I wanted to say that as a vendor, when you start your journey, you have to decide if you're doing it short term or if you're doing it long term. Okay, so there's only two options. If you're doing it short term, maybe you want to be on the aggressive approach of just making money and then exiting the hobby, like not staying like long, and that's fine as well. And then if you're doing it long term, then you have to value out your time, build relationships, see it in the long way. I don't know if I think I spoke to Fredrik about this, but I haven't made my margins aren't so good. Like my margins are probably like 10 or 11% before like taxes and stuff. But what we can see is that the amount, that the scale and the amount that I have sold for is like crazy. Then there is liquidity in the long run for for this market, and that's what I value. So I wanted to see if this is something I can do for 5 or 10 years, maybe even longer than that. And then so I don't really um, I'm not prioritizing making a lot of money right now. I'm prioritizing in growing the inventory, making small flips, but seeing that the hobby is still very liquid. So
That's valuable knowledge dropping there, Kevin, for a lot of the listeners for sure. Like last episode, we had in Danish, like an episode that was like meant to be aiming for like the first time vendors, basically, right? And like you guys also started like as first time vendors eventually, and so it's interesting to now hear what knowledge you've gathered along the way. I'd like to ask about like, so when you are now have reached a level where you're like vending almost every weekend, I don't know, like every second weekend a year, like all year round, like how do you prevent yourself from burning out? Because I think that's also a major factor. Like I talked openly about it, like recently on my channel, that I was a bit burned out from selling cards. Hence this weird podcast project that is now like actually has become super, super valuable to me. How do you prevent yourself from burning out, Fredrik?
I mean, for me, I think it's a little bit different. All right. I think that's also why I don't really want to go full time, is because I want to be able to take a step back if I feel like sometimes I've definitely had, periods where like, oh my God, I've been looking at the cards and like watching comps and like so much. And it gets to a little bit where you're a little bit tiring and you're like, oh, I'm just thinking about cards all the time and pricing, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, I want to take a step back. So I really enjoy being in a place where like I can just, I don't have to do it. I can literally just stop now if I wanted to, and that's fine. I'll just move on with my life. Whereas if I was full time, I think you have to pay your bills every month. You have to make a living, right? Then you have to not necessarily like force yourself to do it, but in some way you do have. So you like really need to love it, and you don't really have if you have a plan B and stuff like that, it's fine, right? But I think for me, I really want to be able to just take a step back. I want to be able to go to shows and don't have to make any money, like just for the enjoyment of it, to enjoy time with my friends and people in the hobby, right? So for me, I'm kind of like trying to stay in that place to kind of avoid, because I really enjoy collecting. Sometimes it always changes, right? Like you want to collect something else, you see something else, and blah blah blah. And I think this is a way, like this is kind of like this is basically my way of collecting, pretty much. And yeah, I think in terms of and I think also the travel time. If you want to go full time, you need to go to a lot of shows, right? And there's a lot of travel involved. I have been traveling a lot with my Counter-Strike career, so I really don't want to do that as well. I really like the way we have in Denmark right now in Europe, where maybe we have like one show a month, maybe one every second month. That's like perfect for me, and I really enjoy that. So I don't think I like to be in a place where I can kind of like be flexible, right? And I think for Kevin, it's probably a different case, right?
Yeah. So like for me, like also like family time. So Fredrik, you have a kid, um, like pretty young one, and you want to enjoy family time with Eric and Karina. Like for me, I don't have any kids. My girlfriend is a little bit younger than me. We have plenty of times to do what we like to do now before building a family. And this question about being burned out, I don't think I have felt a single time that I want to like that I'm getting tired of this hobby or anything like that. I just enjoy it so much. Um, I love to meet new people, create new friendships and networking. And then there is always this small circle like of friends that I have in UK, for example, that I'm always excited to see. And just because of that, I can look forward to all of the shows that I'm going to, even if it means that traveling. So for now, I have to travel 3 hours by train to Copenhagen every time I fly to UK, which means the travel time actually ends up being 7 hours before getting to the city that I'm going to. And that's fine, because like on the train I can work, or I don't know, watch movies or whatever, and then when I get there, I feel like I value the seeing the people that I like. Sometimes it's not even about the show. Of course, I have to go there and try to make deals, but I actually let it go very I let it go like fluently. Like if I don't make a good like deal on that show, then that's also fine. So just because the approach is different, I have shows almost every week or second week. I know that if one week is not good, then the next week could be better, and also my approach to each show is different. So last week it was a smaller show. I get to buy more stuff, and the next show is maybe bigger. I can get to sell more stuff. So it changes. Some shows you maybe just want to trade out your inventory for another inventory. Um, but like I told you as well, like I choose stuff, the places where also I can enjoy the city, the town. So like Edinburgh, we got to see all this this stuff, and it ended up being one of the best trips for me and Maya. Like I didn't even make,
Edinburgh's amazing. Like it is
I didn't
amazing.
even
Yeah.
make that much. Like I don't think I
hmm
sold so much at all. Just it was just buying, but I got to meet the people I love to hang out with, um, and I think in the end, right now, when you have good friendships, when you have good network, you end up being more like, oh shit, it's nice. I get to travel to UK again. I get to see these people. We can hang out. We can have dinner, uh, and then the show becomes secondly. Like you understand what I mean?
Yeah, so you're basically like
Uh,
professional travelers that then happen to be at a card show, and then
yeah.
like
Yeah,
the
because
reward
if
is
you can see it,
yeah.
if you can
What
see it in that
is
way, I actually did it as well when I was competing in esports. So I played Hearthstone before, not on the same level as Fredrik with Counter-Strike, but I was top 30 in the world, and all my teammates were from different countries. So one was Greek, one was Finnish, one was
mm-hmm.
then German. Every time it was a competition, we had to travel, and then I get to meet them, and that was the time that I get to meet all the players and stuff. So you value that time almost more than the competition. Like
That's
the
pretty wholesome.
competition,
Like so like basically what I hear you say is like the best thing you get out of doing this as a full-time job is to travel around the world,
yeah,
get new relationships, experience cities.
yeah,
That's a nice drive and
and
motivator, and of course, like some financial like advantages in the end,
yeah,
hopefully,
I think
right?
just because I have this approach where I value this stuff, I don't put so much pressure on myself that the show has to be good. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? Like that's why I don't get burned out. So um like to this day, every time I receive a package, I feel like shit, it's Christmas time. I get to open something, even if I already know what's inside. But I get so excited about all the new cards that you get to own, and
I still
I
have that
also
as
think
well.
that's a thing. Like right now, it's like literally going really well. So every
Mm-hmm.
time I get to see like even more rare cards, even more expensive stuff, and then you get like shit. This is what I'm working towards. So the next card would be another card that's higher, and I think experiencing that stuff that I wouldn't normally experience, um, is just wholesome. Like
That's super valuable. Like, what is
Such a
guys? What
fun way
is
to
then
collect.
one thing? Like, do you because when you travel so much, right? And are blessed to actually make a living off of this. Like, what is one thing you then have to do in a new city that you come to? Is there like a special place you have to visit? Is it like a fridge magnet? Is it like a photo, a gym, a restaurant you have to try out? Do you have like
okay,
a rule on
so
that before we're
yeah.
like ending on the show with like overvalued, undervalued?
So I started with one thing that actually ended up being a really fun thing, and it's uh, this bad boy.
Yeah.
So each show I go to, I try to target buying one of these. But it doesn't have to be a PSA 10. It can be a raw copy. It can be anything. So each of these cards represent the card show that I've been to. So this one, I think it was from London Card Show.
How do you make it unique
with,
then? Do you sign on the back of it? Like, do you put it in a sleeve and
no,
say this was from London? Just
I
an
have
idea.
pretty good. I have pretty good muscle memory when it comes to
so
numbers.
just remember the cert number, and you're like,
yeah,
this was London.
Yeah, this was from my friends Poke Hunters. I remember it because this is the only copy that I have has double swirl.
Right.
And then like the raw copy was from this weekend in Swindon, for example, and so I always try to maintain the goal of trying to get one of those. I don't buy them outside of the shows because then there isn't same sentimental worth. But these guys I will never sell. Like this is probably the last thing I will sell from my collection. But I also value food. Like I love food, so if I go to a show like a new city, I want to try their food. I like to like eat burgers. I love burgers. So there's also another like bucket list of going to other cities, try their burgers, see if that's good, and enjoy food with friends because everyone loves food.
I would recommend everyone to like go and find Kevin on Instagram and see what like every weekend it's like deal in, deal out, deal in, deal out, deal in, deal out, and then you're out eating afterwards with a bunch of nice people. It seems to like be your routine. For like, do you have anything you have to experience in whenever you go to like a new city or like travel for work purpose?
I mean, when I used to travel a lot with playing Counter-Strike, you don't really have a lot of time to actually enjoy the city, so it's mostly just hotels and airports and stuff like that. So, but I always had to get a fridge magnet, just a full basic. If I didn't bring one home,
bitch too, baby.
Yeah, my wife would be super angry because I think even it's been more for her than me sometimes. That remember to get the fridge magnet from where you're going, so we keep one of each. But no, I mean, I think when I go travel, I think like at least for now when I've been traveling for card shows, I think for me it's just I also really like collecting stuff, and I have things more like low end and more like for binders that I really like spending time with. So for me, when I go to shows, what I almost enjoy the most is when there's a little bit of chill on the show and I can go and actually be a customer, a buyer or like a hobbyist, can go and look what kind of things does the other guys have, and then it's really nice for me because then if I find something, I like to just trade towards it with stuff I have made some margin on or whatever, and I can kind of like fund my own collection that way and enjoy my time with it. And so yeah, I mean, and also just I love food as well. So going to different places. I mean, in Dubai, for example, we went to we had some guy who was pretty local, so we went to like a really really nice restaurant.
Yeah,
and that was kind of like
I'm jealous of
that's
that
always
trip.
nice, it was super fun.
I ended up having too many fridge magnets now, actually. So like my new thing when going to a new city is actually trying to find like a local chocolate of some sort to bring home.
Oh,
So like that's the thing, guys. I'm always running or like ending the podcast with a little section called Undervalued, Overvalued. So like I've asked you to bring something in the hobby you think is undervalued and something that is overvalued. Kevin, can you start with some undervalued stuff in the hobby?
okay. So I something that I actually bought a copy of this set or this era of cards this weekend, and I really wanted to keep it, but my friend PM1 Chris he took it from me because he really wanted it. So I really think that the prime cards are super undervalued.
Agreed.
They are super nice. Like they are. I feel like they are even more nice than the EX era borders.
Not agreeing, but
People will disagree with me, but it's because they are so rare. Like the pops everyone is like pop like below 50, and I bought a Gengar Prime PSA 10. And I really wanted to keep it. It was so nice. But eventually I had to let it go. My friend wanted to keep it for his collection, and he valued it more than me.
do you still
So
have
I think
it?
that no, he bought it from me from Swindon. So yeah, unfortunately.
I actually,
But I
I've
feel
actually forwarded that card to my friend because I was like, oh, here it is. Like you need that one for your collection, and now it's
yeah. So
unfortunately already
I think
gone.
the prime cards are
Good one.
super undervalued.
Good one to bring.
And there is so many other prime cards that doesn't like they're not even at $1,000. Like there is only like a few that's like the Gengar was now seeing $9,000, but I feel like it's a 20K card easily, like compared to the pop and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then cards that I think is overvalued is all modern stuff. Like every I feel like, well, it's about the supply and demand. So everyone wants to buy the new modern, and they feel like the scalpers can flip the stuff, and they rising the prices a lot. But I feel like the modern stuff is like when it's something that has 50,000 pop in the PSA 10, it shouldn't be worth more than $500. Like I don't think like if you compare to the market valuation, so like if something is so many of, then
Mm-hmm.
it shouldn't be valued at that price. And the problem is that when the cards are released, they are way too high. Like I mean, like when a new set comes out and there is a card there that costs like $1,000 in the beginning, like the Phantasmal Flames Charizard, for example, it's going to drop a lot in price. So it came out, it was $5,000 in PSE 10, now it's below $2,000,
Mm-hmm.
and I still think it should go lower. And then when we get from now 10 years forward, the problem is from now and 10 years forward, the card is still going to have 50,000 population.
Yeah, or more.
Like vintage cards, they won't have higher population. And I feel like it's crazy that a modern card could be worth more than a prime card. It's crazy in my mind.
In many ways, I feel like also low pop vintage grails, they're ending up in collections where people don't necessarily have to worry about money. Whereas
Yep.
like super high pop modern PSA 10 is ending up in the hands that for people who want to like turn it over, like pass it on to a greater fool that is going to pay even more for it, right? Like making
Yep.
a sort of like mini bubble within the hobby.
That's
And
why
every
sorry.
card that is unpacked has been sleeved right away, been sent to PSA. There's a pretty high gem rate. Like low pop PSA 10s, like vintage grails, are just like not really gonna see a huge increase in pop. Fredrik, what if yeah?
That's why like you can see that you will see that I'm saying this, that's not long-term holds. Like that's not cards that will have a crazy uprise in market value even in 10 years from now. If there is 50,000 of it, then anyone will be able to find it and
Always.
and buy it. Always there will
And Pokemon
always
will always
be
print
market.
a new, just as cool card, like especially like once we've entered the old art era. And you can say slowly Pokemon are probably like adjusting to like other, like having the other fundamental surprise as other like popular collectible hobbies as well. Fredrik, what have you brought as overvalued, undervalued?
I mean, overvalued. I don't necessarily want to say it now because I'm bringing a lot of stuff to another card show of a modern 10. So, but I think definitely a bit overvalued. But let's keep it until after the show. But let's see. I think
wait to release this video until after the show.
Yeah.
No, of course you should collect. Like if you are a Charizard collector, of course you should just have that card in your collection, or like the new Gengar or whatever. Like, and depends on what you're trading in for that card. Like everyone have different prices they want to buy the cards at. So it's not necessarily like that you're dumb if you're buying this card. Just to clarify.
No, obviously not. It always. I think what modern thing does is like it's really cool cards. Like the artwork is obviously it's more pretty most of the time, and like it's full art special illustration rares. I think that's like a big say in why it is so like pricey, and also because the price is comfortable for a lot of people compared to some of the vintage grails. Like not a lot of people can afford a 10k Gengar, you know. And then I think also in terms of like the vintage stuff, why I think it's undervalued, which is also like I think from my specific take, I'd probably say the Gym Challenge and Gym Heroes first edition PSA 10s I think is like super undervalued still.
Yeah,
it actually was. It was actually one of the first things that I collected. I think you saw actually all of my cards first time we met in Herning at Nordic Card Show. I was trying to get the whole set when I started collecting, and I think those cards still are super cheap compared to a lot of other vintage stuff where like the population is just absurd, like on cards like Giovanni's Persian and stuff like that. When you actually try to collect these kind of things, you will realize how hard it actually is to find these cards. Like I think I was searching like actively for 4 or 5 months to finally see it, and I had to pay overprice a lot to get it right.
That's an interesting thing, because like in Europe, like first edition gym cards are just not as frequently seen as it is in America.
No. Even the PSA 9s, like they actually like they're super affordable. Like a Rockets Mewtwo PSA 9 first edition, it costs like $700. It's like it's cheaper than a PSA 10 Charizard 151, right? And like the rarity in actually like getting those cards is just something else. I mean, I think that's like my number one, definitely. And I think in terms of trying to, I think also like in vintage it's kind of, you don't really have the same kind of like set feel. I think most collectors, they want like a couple of things, like a set, like a goal they want. Like, it's not like just one card they want. They always want like this Pokemon, or they want all from this set, and I think vintage, if you want 10s and you want like sets, all the crystals, all the like, it's just no one can really follow there. So just getting one card alone, it's I think most people they would rather go towards something else where they can get like multiple kind of things. And that's why I think modern is just because you can get multiple nice looking cards at affordable prices compared to getting a Crystal Lugia in a 10, right? Or something like that, or the Prime Gengar, so, but I think that definitely long term, like vintage is just going to be, it's always going to be slow and steady.
Yeah.
And then all the modern will be very volatile, up and down. You need to have the stomach for it. I think with the ponchos as well, in a certain sense. I think I had the full set once, and now I've sold. And I think to some of the Danes I sold to, I always told them that, because I had them for a long time, and I was like following up in the market all the time. I always told them that you need to have ice in your stomach to keep these cards. Like, it's not, you don't need to go and check every single week for the price on this card, because then you'll be, it'll take a tear on you, because it's just, I guess, jumping with 10-20% up and down, so much. So, but yeah, I definitely think that vintage, if you want to be a long-term investor, then that's definitely the way to go.
That's good stuff, guys. I would say thank you so much for dropping knowledge bombs in this podcast. Thanks for spending the time with me this morning. And to everyone listening out there, I would definitely recommend going to SquirtleKev's booth at the upcoming Northern Card Show and SlabStash. I guess you most likely are next to each other. I don't know.
And I don't
Actually,
think we
no.
booked.
No.
You don't have booths?
No, we didn't book like beside each other. So
Right.
like, I'll bring 2 other guys with me as well, like Pokédubs and PM1 are joining
Dubs
me
is
as
coming
well.
again.
Like,
Nice.
Yes.
And you guys always have super, super nice inventory. As you just heard in the podcast, they are curating the stuff they're bringing to the show. They know what you're looking for. Definitely go check their booths out. One Piece as well. Check their Instagram accounts out as well. And guys, thank you so much for joining the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.